There is a silent internal contract governing most of our adult lives, one we never explicitly agreed to. This agreement is a commitment to do what demands the least amount of energy today, even if it guarantees the greatest amount of regret tomorrow. Think about the central irony of our existence. We are all holding the blueprint for massive change right in our hands. The pivotal conversation, the consistent routine, the financial boundary that needs setting. We know the key, yet we treat it like a cursed object, strategically orbiting it for weeks and months, never bringing ourselves to turn it in the lock. We have internalized this crippling inertia as a moral failure. We call ourselves lazy, label ourselves chronic procrastinators, and measure our worth by the gap between our known potential and our actual output. But we must discard that shame right now. This is not a character flaw. The energy we think we lack isn't gone. It is being actively consumed by the act of avoidance itself. It's time to stop judging the inaction and start understanding why the avoidance mechanism is firing in the first place. The answer lies not in logic, but in survival. Our brain's primary directive is not to make us happy, it is to keep us safe and stable. And because of this, the mind will nearly always choose familiar ground over uncertain reward. The chronic low-grade stress, the financial anxiety, the low-level guilt, this discomfort is already accounted for. It defines what we call the familiar prison. It is uncomfortable, yes, but it is predictable. Our nervous system has mapped this territory, and its consistency is mistaken for security. Growth, success, or breaking the pattern all register as radical change. To the primitive part of our brain, radical change equals a threat to survival. The powerful resistance we feel is not apathy. It is our survival instinct firing to keep us from stepping into the dangerous unknown. Avoidance, therefore, is not passive. If you feel perpetually drained, it's not because you haven't worked hard enough. It's because you are, in fact, the most actively engaged person in the room, constantly managing an internal war. We are continuously dedicating mental resources to maintaining the wall of denial between our current reality and our known potential. That struggle, that constant pushback against our own best judgment, is the true cost of this contract. This is the exhaustion of resistance. We spend more effort preserving the status quo, hiding from our own potential, than we would by simply doing the difficult thing. While successfully escaping the familiar prison requires effort, maintaining the prison requires even more. And here is the most insidious part. This avoidance rarely looks like idleness. It disguises itself. If we were to look at your calendar, your to-do list, or the energy you expend every day, we would see a person who is incredibly busy. You are not inert. You are not sitting around doing nothing. But in the next section, we will reveal how your busiest, most seemingly productive activities are nothing more than strategic, clever ways to run away from the real work of transformation. In fact, the greatest deception of our age is that avoidance rarely looks like laziness. It looks like misplaced effort. This is the hidden architecture of the familiar prison. The walls are built out of activities that feel productive, but serve only to keep you strategically away from the one thing that matters. We are experts in what we call productivity theater. This is the act of substituting movement for genuine momentum. We are performers on a stage of self-improvement, convincing the audience ourselves that we are working hard without ever leaving the dressing room. We don't avoid the hard project by watching TV. We avoid it by doing a harder, more complicated, but ultimately irrelevant task. Instead of writing the first crucial post for our blog, we spend 2 full days building the perfect digital note-taking system for posts that don't yet exist. Instead of having the difficult, necessary conversation with our partner or boss, we spend hours meticulously checking email, generating ideas for colleagues' projects, or diving deep into helping someone else, because everyone seems to need our immediate help right now. This is a willing engagement in external chaos to avoid the internal emotional chaos of transformation. Instead of actually launching the business, we dedicate weeks to research, compiling exhaustive competitive analysis, and buying every related online course. We are addicted to preparation because preparation is safe. It is the ultimate buffer against execution. All of these activities are genuine effort. They generate motion, but they are a strategic circumvention of transformation. They keep you safe, busy, and most importantly, they keep you preoccupied enough to never turn that key in the prison lock. This strategic busy work leads us to the most comfortable place in the familiar prison, the gold cage of almost. We become permanently trapped in a state of pre-launch, perpetually living on the cusp of breakthrough. We are always almost ready, almost finished, almost prepared to launch. This state is ruled by the pre-flight checklist syndrome. We are endlessly reviewing the checklist, checking the tire pressure, adjusting the instruments, confirming the route, to avoid the actual terrifying moment of liftoff. Why do we cling to almost? Because almost allows us to protect the most cherished asset we possess, the myth of potential. As long as we haven't taken the final, defining action, our potential remains infinite. Our book could be a bestseller. Our business could be a unicorn. Our relationship could be perfect. We can maintain the fantasy that we are only one step away from brilliance. Action, however, is a truth teller. Execution converts infinite potential into a finite, imperfect result. And the moment we reveal the result, we face the terrifying possibility that our maximum effort might not align with our desired outcome. The gold cage of almost is a self-imposed shield designed to prevent the shattering of that myth. It's a pattern of strategic self-protection, and as we will explore in the next section, beneath this busy surface lie the deeper, darker fears we must name to finally break free. Let's dig into those fears now. Beneath every pattern of avoidance lives a fear so profound, so personal, that you may not have named it yet. We've classified them into 3 pillars that keep us shackled to the familiar. Pillar 1, the true fear of success. We often talk about the fear of failure, but that's a rookie fear. The truly powerful, paralyzing fear is the fear of success. This fear is not about money, fame, or achievement. It is about who you must become to sustain that achievement. Success demands that you step into a new identity, one that requires irreversibility. Imagine this: your dream comes true. You launch the product, you achieve the goal, you publish the book. Now you have to look into the mirror and see not the person who could have done it, but the person who did it. This success instantly raises the bar. It demands new boundaries, new expectations from the world, and most terrifyingly, the dismantling of your old, convenient identity, the one that allowed you to complain, to stay small, and to have a built-in excuse for inaction. The fear of reflection is the fear of becoming the person who no longer gets a pass. It's the fear that your achieved success will require more effort, more vigilance, and more sacrifice than you are currently willing to sign up for. So you avoid the first step to remain safely invisible. Pillar 2, the fear of outgrowing your circle. We are biologically wired for belonging. Since the dawn of humanity, being part of the tribe was synonymous with survival, and transformation fundamentally threatens the tribe. We call this the fear of social gravity. When you start to grow, when you set healthy boundaries, when you prioritize your new habit, when you start succeeding, you disrupt the equilibrium of your closest relationships. Your friends, family, and partner may not be ready for the new version of you. They might start questioning you, criticizing you, or worst of all, pulling away. Your success forces the people around you to face their own lack of action, and often it is easier for them to criticize your movement than to accept their own inertia. Subconsciously, we hit the brakes on our own growth to avoid this inevitable consequence, the disappointment, the alienation, or the painful realization that choosing ourselves means potentially disappointing, or even losing, those we love. We choose the comfort of the familiar group over the terrifying loneliness of a higher path. Pillar 3, the fear of maximum effort. This is the most existential of the 3. It is the core reason why we consistently give 80% effort instead of 100%. We call this the fear of the void, the space left when there are no more excuses. If you commit only 80% to a project and it fails, you have an immediate, convenient safety net. I didn't really try my best. This preserves the myth of potential we discussed earlier. It allows you to maintain the comforting thought that the real success is still locked inside you, waiting for the perfect day. But if you give 100% of your maximum, focused, disciplined effort, and the result still falls short of your dream, there is no safety net left. The failure then becomes absolute. You are left with the crushing, unbearable truth. I did everything I was capable of, and it wasn't enough. Avoiding maximum effort is a psychological insurance policy against this existential disappointment. We would rather live with the stress of almost winning than the despair of trying our absolute hardest and losing anyway. These three pillars, reflection, gravity, and the void, are the true engineers of the familiar prison. Until we confront them, the cycle of active procrastination will continue to run our lives. But the good news is that they are fears, not facts, and we can start moving past them. It's important to remember that these three deep fears are not free. They demand a terrible tax on your daily life, the price you pay for every moment spent in the gold cage of almost. We need to talk about the hidden cost of standing still. If you feel chronically tired, depleted, and low on energy, we must distinguish between two kinds of fatigue: the fatigue of work and the fatigue of resistance. The real burden you carry is not the fatigue of effort, it is the exhaustion of resistance. The exhaustion of constantly fighting what you already know is true. It is not the weight of the tasks, but the weight of the denial. This internal war is relentless. Every morning we dedicate precious mental energy to reinforcing the wall of denial and justifying why today is not the day. This perpetual fruitless effort is what we call the Sisyphean labor of denial. Like Sisyphus, we spend our days pushing the boulder of "I should do this" up the hill, only to watch it inevitably roll back down when the clock hits 5 p.m. or when our willpower wanes. The true crippling exhaustion comes not from the single push, but from the daily, mandatory renewal of the conflict. We are tired because we are constantly fighting ourselves, not the world. The price of this labor extends beyond fatigue. It fundamentally alters who we are becoming. Every time we choose to postpone the one thing that would truly fix our lives, we commit a micro-betrayal against our future self. These micro-betrayals accumulate and solidify a specific identity, the person who doesn't keep promises to themselves. This consistent self-cynicism creates a massive, invisible liability we call the debt of the unlived future. This debt manifests as a persistent, low-grade anxiety, a background hum of dread about tomorrow. Why? Because deep down, we know we cannot trust our own intentions. We suspect we will fail to show up for ourselves again. We stop believing the promises we make at midnight. This debt is what truly prevents future progress. It breeds a corrosive cynicism that convinces us, before we even start, that the effort will be futile. The act of avoidance today doesn't just postpone a task, it erodes the foundation of self-trust needed for tomorrow's action. The gold cage of almost isn't a safe haven, it's a self-imposed psychological slow burn where the most valuable currency, our belief in our own capacity for change, is slowly and surely destroyed. The good news is that we don't need a monumental feat to clear this debt, we just need to stop the labor. In the next part, we will discuss the single strategy that breaks this cycle of avoidance. The first mistake we make is believing the goal is to eliminate fear. We wait for the moment when we'll feel brave, motivated, and fully prepared. That moment will never come. True maturity is the recognition that you don't move when the fear leaves. You move so the fear doesn't get to make the final decision. We must accept the fear as a passenger in the car, an unavoidable, noisy companion, but we refuse to give it the steering wheel. The goal is not to be fearless. The goal is to establish intention as your new driver, overriding the automatic, habitual reaction of avoidance. Our avoidance mechanism is masterfully designed to manufacture obstacles. We fall into the complexity trap, believing that a task worth doing must be grand, complicated, and require months of planning. We use complexity to justify delay. The mind tells us, this task is huge, so I need the perfect system, the perfect morning routine, and the perfect set of circumstances to begin. The actual path to transformation is the opposite. It always comes through the small door, The breakthrough isn't achieved by tackling the entire boulder at once, but by focusing on the single, immediate crack you can make right now. One email, one difficult boundary set, 1 minute of focused effort. That small action creates a crack in the familiar prison, and the light that shines through is not fear, but momentum. Readiness is a decision, not a feeling. We spend our lives waiting for the green light of readiness, that mythical feeling of being completely prepared. We are waiting for the motivation to kick in before we move, but motivation is a result of action, not the cause of it. Readiness is a decision you must make before you feel ready. The moment you declare your intention, "I am starting now," you are ready. You must accept that your first step will be clumsy, awkward, and deeply uncomfortable. This is the difference between perfect inaction, waiting indefinitely for the ideal, fear-free starting point, imperfect action, moving forward now, knowing it will be messy, but prioritizing movement over polish. The greatest catalyst for change is to embrace the principle of ugly momentum. We must deliberately choose the imperfect, ugly, messy first step, because that is the only way to shatter the psychological insurance policy of the myth of potential. It's time to stop negotiating with ourselves and make a firm commitment to that one single thing you have been avoiding. You are not waiting for the right time. You are waiting for your own permission. In the final section, we will discuss the urgency of this choice and how to execute your first imperfect action today. Many of us operate under the delusion that time spent avoiding a task is neutral, that we are simply pressing pause. This is a fatal mistake. Every minute you spend avoiding the thing that would fix your life is not just lost, it is actively working against you. It is reinforcing the neural pathways of avoidance, deepening the grooves of the familiar prison, and making the next necessary step even harder. The clock is not pausing your problem, it is magnifying your pattern. There is no perfect time, no moment when the planets align, and the fear suddenly disappears. That waiting is just another clever form of avoidance. The pattern breaks when we decide it does. Not someday, not when things are easier, but now with all your fear, all your doubt, and all your imperfection. Here is the most powerful secret. Relief comes instantly, not when the task is finished, but when the resistance stops. The moment you choose imperfect action over perfect inaction, you stop fighting yourself. You stop the Sisyphean labor of denial. That psychological weight is lifted immediately, giving you a surge of energy you haven't felt in months. This relief is your proof that you made the right choice. This realization, the knowledge that you can move through the fear, is not a fragile motivation. It is the permanent foundation upon which everything else gets built. You are not avoiding things because you are weak. You are avoiding them because you are human. But you are also capable of so much more than the patterns that have held you captive. But the current of your life is already moving. You are either desperately resisting it or choosing to flow with it. The choice is yours. To start, you do not need to tackle the whole problem. You only need to choose one thing, the smallest, most insignificant action you've been avoiding, and commit to doing it within the next 60 seconds after this video ends. Drop a comment below and tell us the one thing you are choosing to stop avoiding right now. Is it opening the file? Is it writing the first 3 words of the email? Is it simply putting on your running shoes? Do it now. Make it so small that the rational part of your brain cannot possibly talk you out of it. By naming it out loud, you take the first step toward facing it. You will see what truly stands between you and the life you want to live. Once you realize it, you cannot unsee it, and you can no longer hide your true desires behind an endless list of productive but useless tasks. Write a comment and free yourself, and show others that they are not alone. Perhaps your comment will change someone's life today. You already know what would fix your life. The only question left is whether you are willing to stop avoiding it. The messy middle is where real transformation lives. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, today.